Good morning, everybody. So I am trying out my new stand. I'm excited about that. But I wanted to share with you some of the trials and tribulations that I have with my disability. And that tends to be that for me, one of the things that I have happen is that when I overdo it, I run into issues with my walking. So take a look at this. So when I have to go and walk, oh, sweet Jesus, it is a miracle to get from point A to point B. And so I tend to have issues where this side does not like to pick up and it's draggy. My right side is not picking up as well. I have pain everywhere because of just, overdoing it this past weekend. So we had an event that took place this weekend that I thoroughly enjoyed. And that event, as I sit down, you guys, that event, so I can come back around, there we go, was an awesome event. But in that event, what took place was me having to deal with a few things. And those things were the fact that I walked from my school over to a beach area that we did an event at, and then I walked back. I'm not sure what the equivalent is in miles, but I believe I want to say it was at least 2 miles there and then 2 miles back. But honestly, I'm not truthful. I'm not truthful. That's not the issue. I'm not truthfully is the proper expression. I'm not sure how far it actually was. I would have to ask someone, and I don't have anyone to ask this morning as I'm making this video. But the issues I run into is that when I overdo it, I have to deal with the consequences of going above and beyond the limits for my body. And that was, now I'm stuck having to deal with the side effects. This event took place on a Saturday. Today is Monday, you guys, and I'm still having issues with walking. By Saturday evening, I was not even able to get up and move to the bed. To the bathroom, which you guys could see. That's a very short jaunt. It's a very short distance. It was nearly impossible for me to make without having things buckle. One of the things I had was when I got home from the event, I was like, oh yeah, I heard I'm sore. And I came in, I got out of the clothes that I was in because they were all sweaty and wet. And I went and took a shower immediately. And I was like, oh, maybe the shower helped me feel better because it would be me with, what's the word I'm looking for? It would be me getting clean, getting off all the beach sand, which I love the beach. I like to get grounded there. I absolutely hate sand. So it's like a catch-22 for me. And the sand here at that particular beach is like a black, super fine sand that sticks with you. So I ended up getting myself together and I came home. I took a shower and the shower was amazingly hot. It made things that hurt feel amplified because my skin becomes sensitive the more pain I have, but the shower itself felt really, really good. I get out of the shower and then while I was in the shower actually, I have a shower chair, but I don't like to use it because this tub is very small. But I had the shower chair on the outside of the shower so that if anything should happen, I had something. But while I was in the shower, my legs gave out. And so I ended up having to grab onto the bars to pull myself up and out, use the shower chair, which is on the outside, to get out of the shower. And I had my daughter come in to assist me because the issue I had was trying to lift my leg up over the tub, the side of the tub, in order to get out of the shower, which was very difficult because my right leg barely got over the lip. And then when I had to try to lift my left side, it didn't want to go over at all. So I had to literally physically pull my leg up to get out of the shower while at the same time holding on to my daughter. And then she assisted me back into my room to my bed so I could sit down and try off and get myself into jammies and stuff. So she had to help me do that. And then when I had to go get up later to go back in there, she assisted me again. So that's the journeys that I go through, you guys. So yeah, I allowed myself to do something that was very stupid. I allowed myself to be tempted because someone said something to me in front of a lot of people. And when they said what they said, it put me into that fight mode, as I say, because I'm always up for a challenge, guys. So when someone challenges me in any shape or form, sometimes I tend to take that, I usually will take that bait, which is not a good thing, but it's something that I tend to do. Spent 18 and a half years in the military, so I have a very gung-ho, push through, get it done mentality when it comes to doing anything physical. Even though I am disabled and I should not have been walking as far as I did, I am still post an active episode of GBS. My body has not fully recovered, and the active episode took place when I had dengue. So I've been recovering from dengue ever since. So because of that, you know, I feel like I need to kind of get together. I need to get myself together. And I have been trying to physically recover from those episodes with dengue. I have been working out slowly. So I have weights in here. I have mats that I don't know if you guys could see earlier, but I have mats in here that I use for stretching in the morning, for doing some therapeutic workouts with my legs and trying to strengthen the muscles that are in my legs, which is going to take me a while because my GBS is GBS AMAN. I need my other phone here. So what I'll do is I'll tell you exactly what the AMAN stands for. So okay, so the form that me and my doctor have determined that most likely I have is called acute motor axonal neuropathy, or AMAN, is a variant of Guillain-Barré syndrome because it's a GBS, but it's a rare form. Instead of, with regular GBS, what you have take place is your peripheral nerves, the myelin sheath that covers that nerve starts to degenerate. And in that degeneration, you start to have issues with peripheral nerve signals. In my case, my nerves are being destroyed. The myelin sheath is intact. My axons are not. They are degenerating. So it's like having a good analogy would be having a strip of wire. You know, you have the coating on the outside of the wire, and then inside the wires, you'll have the wire itself, the metal part. My metal part is degenerating, and that coating that's around that metal part is what is not degenerating for me. So that's what axons, or the axonal portion of the nerve, is. So in this particular variant of Guillain-Barré syndrome, it is and I have recurrent GBS on top of that. So it is characterized by an acute paralysis and loss of reflexes without sensory loss. Pathologically, there is motor axonal degeneration with antibody-mediated attacks on motor nerves and the nodes of Van Dier. So for me, that means the sensations are still there, guys, for the most part. Do I lose some sensations? Yes, because that's just what it is. But I also have amplification of the nerves as well. So things become very painful for me, extremely painful. And when it comes to activity, I have to always be mindful. My orthopedist told me that yes, because I've been an athlete my whole life, I should be able to lose weight and I should be able to get myself physically back in shape because I've literally been an athlete I'm 48 years young, so I've been an athlete for over 36 years because I've been running around and doing things since I was little. As soon as I can walk and move, I've been walking and I've been moving like my child. I've been moving ever since. So I want to back that number off a little bit. So 5, we'll say since the age of 5 until maybe 10 years ago. No, not even. Maybe 6 years ago, because that was the second time I had a real bad episode when I got COVID a few years back. So I'd say when COVID hit was when I started having some other setbacks. So that's like, what, 5-6 years ago, you guys? So up until that point, I had literally started recovering. I had slimmed up, I had lost weight. I had started walking. I had gotten myself out of the wheelchair, number one. I had started using my forearm crutches to get around and move around more. And I was going, I would go back and forth to do the things that I needed to do. For example, I would go walk around my neighborhood. So it was like the loop that I had chosen and a route that I had created. I would do a full loop. So it would be the equivalent of about, I think the equivalent of about a mile. And I would do that loop once, then I would come home. So I would do a mile walk, and then I would come home and I would do some yoga for about 30 minutes, and then I would do stretching. So I would do like not yoga, I would do like body weight exercises for 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how my body was feeling that day. And then I would do yoga with stretching and so forth with the yoga for another 30 minutes. So I would get in like an hour to an hour and a half worth of working out. And this was before COVID. And that was when I was in my recovery phase from before. But the downside is that I got COVID. Because I was also going to the gym, guys. I had a personal trainer. I would go to the gym. I would do weights and stuff at the gym. And I was literally hitting the gym and I was getting my weight down. I had went from like 230. I was down to like 195, 196. I was stoked because I was below 200. And I wanted to continue to go as I wanted to keep going and get my weight back down to, I'm trying to get back down to about 154, 164. I haven't decided yet, but I was on my path. I still had like another 30 pounds or so to go. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm getting there. Yes, I'm getting back into shape. I won't be carrying so much weight on my joints and I should feel better. Then I got COVID. I got COVID before COVID was technically here. They say officially. I believe I got COVID in October, November, because my daughter had surgery and we were up in Orlando, and then we came back from Orlando, and her and I both we came back down after some testing. She had surgery to have her G-tube put in, and when she had her G-tube put in, 12, 9, 8, 9, she had her G tube installed, and or was she having her G tube removed? I can't remember if it was the removal of the G tube or it was the installation of the G tube. I can't remember which one it was. I kind of feel like it may have been the removal of the G tube, but I think it wasn't. I don't know. I don't remember, guys. That's how my memory works. Anyways, it was post-operative for her. She got sick. She had gone to school. I wanted her to wear a mask because I was already hearing whispers that there was something new out there, and I didn't want her to get sick because she was post-surgery. Your immune system is not going to be the best fighting force at that point. And I didn't want her to get sick because if she gets sick, that means mommy's going to get sick and I'm going to get sick worse. So she came home, and within hours of her getting home, she was desperately sick. And then, which means she most likely caught the virus from the hospital. Who knows? But it wasn't only that, but her entire class got sick. I think everybody except for like maybe 4 people got sick. They had several people in her class, to include staff, that ended up in the hospital. And that was when the CDC had to come out to the school. They had to do some swabbies, and then they had to sterilize the classroom to make it safe for the students to be there. Hattie missed, I want to say she missed school for like 2 weeks. Me, I got whatever she had, which, we later found out was COVID. I contracted it from her, and because it was right before Christmas holiday, so it was November. I contracted it from her in November, and I did not get better until, I want to say January, March, April. It was like April time frame, because even when I left to go to do the winter games for the VA, I was still sick. And I think that was in like April or May. Which I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed it, but I didn't start getting better until the end of that time frame, and that was because I had to be placed on antibiotics and steroids I had to be placed on steroids for my lungs, because my asthma was triggering every 2 to 3 hours. And I was also still having fevers at that time. Even when I traveled, I wasn't contagious, they said, but my autoimmune system had triggered. The good thing was that I was learning how to sit ski. It's my first time ever skiing. I absolutely loved it. I will see if I can find a video and insert it somewhere in this one, so you guys can kind of see what sit skiing was and is. I'll try to see if I can find my video. It should be in my Facebook archive, so I'll have to just go and look. But anyways, at the end of the day, I had to deal with that type of stuff. And I'll insert the video here.
Here you come, you're ripping it.
Left turn. Up, right turn.
Okay, so you see now what sit skiing is. It's an amazing sport for those who cannot utilize their legs well. The problem I have with my GBS is that not only can I not use my legs well, Sometimes, depending on how it gets, sometimes I'll start to have loss of use of these little things. And I even now I have issues with, and that was another thing, like even with the activity that I did, on our way back, I started realizing that my hands were swollen. My grip is not as tight as it usually is. So holding my phone was a challenge. I tend, when I'm holding my phone, I have the tendency that it ends up, my grip isn't very strong. So, yeah. So because my grip isn't very strong, when I'm holding on to stuff, I tend to lose it. Especially when everything gets activated or triggered. I don't have the greatest of strength, that's not the strongest, so I tend to drop things more. But I think for me, what many people see is that unless I'm using my forearms, crutches to get around, you guys call it forearm crutches, Canadian crutches, whatever you want to call it. If I'm not using those crutches to get around or using a wheelchair to get around, and I'll be honest, my wheelchair will never be used on this island. This island is not, though I have seen people in wheelchairs around here, it is not very conducive for the use of a wheelchair. They don't have enough sidewalks that are paved all the way. And even if they do have the sidewalks are very narrow. So my chair, yes, it can go down the sideways, but there's places where the darn shrubbery will be in the way and you can't really get around. So utilizing that is not conducive. I have a walker. I guess I could technically try to use that, but again, not very conducive on these uneven roads and pathways. So it would not be safe, because more than likely I would end up biting it, because if it hits the wrong angle, I would flip over head first with my walker. So the only thing that I can really use here, which my therapist completely never has agreed to, is my forearms. And the reason why they don't like me using my forearms is because I'm not as stable as I'd like to be. So because I don't have equal strength on both my arms, because I don't have equal strength in my arms, and my gait, I don't have equal strength in my legs. That's another thing that's different about my GBS. My left side, the entire left side, is more affected than my right. The neurologist I had spoken to when I was in the hospital after last year, August, after being hit by a car and having my spine swell and losing the ability to walk, I literally my right side is never the side that's affected first ever. And I was literally walking into the hospital to go get checked out post getting into a car accident the day before. And I was like, yeah, man, I just started noticing that, my right side is my good side, and it's the side that always picks up. But with a milder form of foot drop, but not a severe form like my left. And I was walking into the hospital with my walker, and as I walked in, by the time I walked in, and this was because, and I found out later it was because of the swelling. As I walked into the hospital, all of a sudden, I lost my ability to hold my bladder. So I immediately went to the restroom to make sure I voided and got rid of everything that was in my system. And that's when I knew something was wrong, desperately wrong. And I was like, well, I don't think my GBS has been triggered. This is crazy. I'm not that sick. I'm not sick in that regard to where my GBS should be triggering, because that's usually when I would lose everything as my stuff would send up. And then so I went in, they called me, they went back. In the time frame that I walked in, sat down, they took my blood pressure, did my vitals and everything else. By the time I went to go try to stand back up, I was not able to stand back up. So that was another downside for me. The car accident was like August, I want to say, July. I did not get better from that until, actually, no, I really didn't get better for that for a while. I had to be on anti-inflammatory, like prednisone, because I can't take ibuprofen or anything like that because of an allergy. So I was on prednisone for a while. And so I didn't start recovering from that until I literally went home, not able to walk. I was in a wheelchair. I had to have a potty chair brought into the house. I had to have a walker that was upstairs to get me from my bed to the bathroom, my bathroom to the stairwell, to get on my lift, to take the lift downstairs. And then I had another walker that I would use to get out of my house, to go outside of my house. So that was interesting. That was a depressing time for me, a very depressing time for me, because I did not like the idea that I was so broken at that point. And at first the doctors didn't understand why. And the irony is that the assumption was like, oh, there must just be some inflammation or something going on, or is your autoimmune system kicking off. So they just couldn't figure it out. So they kind of just attributed it to whatever. Ironically, me coming here to medical school and starting in January of this year for med school, I want to say within a month of me being in, and we're going over anatomy and physiology in my A&E class, I realized then and confirmed with my doctor that the issue was the tail end of the spinal cord and where my injury was in my back, because I had a ruptured disc. It's at the L3L4 level. Yes, the spinal cord ends in that area, but with the inflammation around that area in the spine, that's what triggered the inability for my lower half to work properly, is because there was just inflammation that was affecting the nerves for my lower half, which was just amazingly funny. I think it's funny that people are doctors for decades and they don't come up with the basics. They forget their basic anatomy and what things could be triggered, which was very funny for me. But anyways, back on to this other story with my GBS and what I'm currently going through. So now the issue I have right now is I am in excruciating pain still. I am still very much recovering. And because of that, I am finding it a challenge to move. So today I have class, because today is Monday. And today is class. I've been up since 5. But even with, I walk to school, but even so, I'm in so much pain still. So I've determined that I have a test today. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to rest. I'll stay in bed and continue resting. And I will get up later. I will head to school, only for me to take my test. And then I will come back home and do me. Meaning, I will come back home and do whatever other work that I need to do. For example, Hattie's book that we co-wrote, that her and I wrote together. This is the proof version. I am going to have to take this and I have to finish tweaking some of the pages on the inside. So I'll finish working on that today so I can get that submitted to.
This is a reminder. Take morning medication.
All right, that's my reminder, guys, because it's 7 o'clock. I would be.
This is a reminder. Take morning medication.
Normally about now, I would be taking my meds and then I would be going to campus within the next 15 minutes, because usually now is when I would get up. I would already be dressed, because like I said, I get up every day at 5 a.m. I get up in the morning at 5 a.m. I start to stretch. I do some curls, some bicep curls, and some shoulder workouts, which is kind of hard for me to do because I'm extremely sore right now. I do some inner thigh working out with some minor resistance, and I stretch, and then I head off. I I do that. I do like a little short workout, maybe 30 minutes each morning, so I can get through like 2 to 3 sets with the very light 2-pound weights, which to me feels like 10 pounds half the time because of how reduced my stamina is. So yeah, guys, I will. So yeah, anywho, that's my side note on that. And clearly you can tell I haven't had my ADHD medications because my brain is going whoopee. Anyways, so yeah. So I think the problem I have is that unless you see me with my crutches, my wheelchair, or my walker, people don't realize how bad my disability is. Though I do wear AFOs on both feet, I also have KFOs for both legs, which are here. KFOs and AFOs, the difference is that the AFO is below the knee down to my feet. My KFO is thigh down into my feet. And the reason why I like the KFO over the AFO sometimes is because, like I said, when my system is triggered or when I overdo it, my thighs will stop functioning properly. So the safety feature for me is that with the KFOs, it helps keep me vertical, and it helps give me a little bit more stabilization when it comes to my knee a little bit too, because how my particular KFO has been catered for me. But beyond that, you guys, at the end of the day, unless you see the braces, unless you see, which I tend to, my KFOs, I can cover with my pants, so most people don't realize I even have them on. And when I wear skirts, the skirts are long, so again, people don't really acknowledge nor do they see it. But when I'm in the AFOs, they don't see. But when I wear the KFOs, that's a different story, because the KFOs go over the clothes for me. Well, technically, I could put them over. When I wear the socks that go with it, the things that go underneath, I can wear pants over, but sometimes the KFOs ends up going on the outside of pants. So like if I'm wearing tights or something, I'll put the KFO over the tights and look like a bionic woman. So looking like Cyborg or something with all this metal contraptions that I'm wearing, which is fine. It's just a bit embarrassing. So I tend to like not want to wear the stuff. So I avoid it like the plague because I don't like drawing that type of attention to myself. People tend to really give you the look. I already get a lot of attention here at the school because of my Guillain-Barré and the fact that I'm sick, that I get sick a lot around here. I'm not sick right now, guys, I promise you. I just have laryngitis from the event. A lot of screaming, a lot of yelling and yay and fire up stuff. So I kind of lost my voice from that. It's not from being sick, I promise. And that's a good thing. But I had planned on, for example, I had planned on cleaning, because usually weekends I use that to do a reset in my room, and I finally got this storage unit, a little storage thing that I need to build. I was going to build that and put it up over against the wall so that I could get the remaining items that I have that are on the floor up and off, but that didn't take place because I am having problems moving and it's frustrating. But yeah, my disability is most times invisible if I'm not braced up. And like I said, if I'm not having any of the other things. And because of that, people can be very dismissive of who I am and what I'm working with. So at this particular event that I was at, when someone literally verbally challenged me, oh, so are you walking back with the group? Because, just want to know, type attitude. I don't really, they didn't say it exactly like that, but it was more along the lines of, you came in and you're required to kind of like come back. So are you doing it or are you not? And it was in front of a lot of people. So now you're testing me and my automatic response is, yeah, I got this, let's go. And so I did what I shouldn't have done. I should have caught a cab and had the cab take me back that short jaunt to the school. But instead, I walked it. Then once I got to the school, there was a lot of standing around. So I'm still putting strain instead of sitting and resting. No, I'm sitting up here standing around. So eventually it got to the point where by the time I made like all that standing, then I had to leave that event. Once that event was over, I went to the store, which is across the street from our school. And I started walking through and I started picking up groceries. And as I started picking up groceries, I called and had my daughter come up to the store to help me because I realized that I was losing functionality. I was literally dragging my entire left leg, my left side, through the store. I was no longer able to really pick up my leg. And I started noticing at that point that my right side was starting to play draggedy drag as well. So yeah, my little one came up. She met me at the store. And then after we got whatever groceries we needed, I found a spot to take a seat to rest a little bit. I sat, I rested, and then I started I called my roommate to let her know, my housemate to let my bestie, I called my bestie to let her know, hey, look, girl, I don't know if I'm gonna make it home. I'm in so much agony right now. I don't even know what to do with myself. I am starting to shut down physically because I overdid it. And she goes, I warned you. And I'm like, yeah. I know, you warned me. But, you know, my pride sticks in. Pride cometh before the fall. Yeah. Pride got me into that situation. My pride. So, anyways, my driver that I normally call was not answering his phone. So that meant we had no choice but to take that short walk. And the walk is short. It's not even a quarter of a mile. We took the walk from the store home. And I creeped up them stairs with the items. It got to the point where the bag that I was carrying, my arms and stuff were fatigued out as well. So when I put the groceries down, I couldn't pick the bag back up to take it into the kitchen. So I just dragged that bag into the kitchen, passed it over to my bestie, and she looked at me and was like, go sit down right now. Go rest, let your body rest for a while. So if I go sit down right now, I will not be getting back up. I need to go shower, so let me go upstairs. So I came upstairs, I showered, my legs gave out while I was in the shower. I called for my daughter came in, she assisted me, got me out of the shower with her help. And yeah, that was my day. And I have been in this bed since. I've only made maybe 1 or 2 trips out of this room because my recovery, and that's where people don't understand. Once I overdo it, it can take me a while to recover. To be out of pain will probably take me at least a week to be out of pain completely. I did get a new massager. My new massager. I did get a new massager that has arrived. Yeah, my new massager. So I do have a new massager. My other massager, guys, is hysterically funny. It's small, but this is my other massager that I use typically for my neck. I was using this for other things too. For my, I would try to use it for other things besides my neck and my shoulder here. I would try to use it on my leg, but guys, this thing is so dang gone small. It's absolutely useless for my legs. So I wanted something bigger that can get into those thigh muscles. I have another massager that drapes over the shoulders that I can kind of plug in and kind of sit here and let it go. I'm going to probably go back to utilizing that. But this other massager is more for getting into these legs and to breaking up and loosening up the muscles there. So I did use that, because the other thing that happened was the balls of my feet, my heels, were even talking, and they were very, very sore. As a matter of fact, my ankles and stuff had all actually swollen because I had been up for so long. Even though I do, when I'm out and about, I do wear pressure socks, but even with those pressure socks, I ended up with my ankles swelling. My lower legs were very swollen and very sore because, again, like I said, I overdid it. So I needed to use a massager to work through the muscles and help get them feeling a little bit better. At the time, it was excruciatingly painful, extremely, because my skin hurts, my everything hurt, and now things are feeling a little bit better, but everything still hurts. And I'll have to continue massaging things out and with the massager, and continue to work on just getting myself better, is the ultimate goal. So I'll be doing some trigger pointing, massages, just to work things out. This is a cool little thing that comes with the massager that I like. It's very, could use this for my anatomy class. It's so detailed. But I'll be using it to hit the different trigger points and such in my body to help alleviate some of the pain that I have going on. Yeah, so that's what I got going on. We're gonna try to do what needs to be done and go from there. That is the goal, is to continue to do what needs to be done and getting things done. I'm putting on my lights, guys. I have lights that go on the side. There we go. See? Now we're cooking. I needed to add my lights in because the sun, even though it's nice and bright outside, the sun is shifting. It's constantly going on and off. So it's making it a bit challenging with this video. So, yeah. So at the end of the day, guys, I'm going to continue to do what I got to do to take one day at a time. So for those of you who suffer from autoimmune conditions, like mine, or the invisible ones, I think what we have to remember is that, and what people need to be courteous about, is at the end of the day, we all have our own trials and tribulations and things that we go through. So because of that, we have to do what we have to do. So I'll work on doing what I have to do, to keep setting an example for my little one. I want her to understand that no matter the difficulties, we can still succeed in all things. The other thing that I like to do is, was I a complainer? I was a moaner and a complainer that day, like on Saturday. And now that I'm days in, I'm not in so much pain, my brain has done like a mini reset. And so I will ground myself out. Like I said, I'm going to continue to rest today. And then I will ground myself out, go to school, take my test today. And then when I get back, I will rest some more. And I'll be resting for the rest of the week to help my body recover and not overexert myself beyond just walking to school and then walking home. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I don't do things that is going to create a long-term thing to where I won't be able to move and do what I need to do in the long term. So, yeah. Sorry, I need a chapstick. So yeah, that's my thing. So anyways, like I was saying, for those of you, I want to speak to those of you who suffer like I do. You suffer in silence because people don't recognize or understand your invisible disability that may not be visible. I've had people ask me, well, why are you parking in the handicap zone when you look like you're fully able? And I had to let them know That's because I am disabled. You know, I would get out of my car sometimes and I would hold onto my car and I would go to the back of my car where my wheelchair would be stored. And then, especially if I did not have my daughter with me or my sister with me, if I didn't have someone with me to take my walker out of the back or to take the wheelchair out of the back, I would have to get to the back of the vehicle to get those things taken care of. So I would go to the back and take my wheelchair out and then use my wheelchair to get to where I was going. But it's worse when you don't have a wheelchair, you don't have a walker, you don't have forearm crutches, because now people don't see what your disability is. They just make assumptions. So those who have MS, for example, who may have functionality some days, and sometimes when they're having flare-ups, they don't. So their mobility may be different. People don't see, and they don't always acknowledge those things. So yeah, we have to remember that some things are not visible. If you have a anxiety issue, that's not going to be visible to everyone. If you have other autoimmune things that are not visible, people are not going to see them. They're not going to want to acknowledge them. So for me, what I do best is I try to find the silver lining in everything that I do. Yesterday was a challenge because yesterday was Sunday, it was day 2. And I noticed, like, for me, I was more irritable. And the reason why I was more irritable was because I was pissed at myself for taking on that challenge and putting myself in the situation that I'm in now. But I was also frustrated because my little one is autistic, and she's high functioning autistic. And even still, she's older now. She just turned 12, so she's older now. She's a little bit wiser, but she's still annoyingly a 12-year-old child who likes to do things that are frustrating. I like things clean. She's a helper. Oh, she's a helper. She's such a lovely child when it comes to her helping and being there for me to assist. But sometimes what happens is she wants to assist, but what she starts to do is do things that get in the way. So like if she wants to prepare a meal for you, she'll destroy the kitchen to prepare that meal. And then that kitchen has to be cleaned up. Yeah. And when she cooks, when I cook a meal, maybe 2 to 3 dishes for preparing an entire meal. When she cooks a meal, she uses up nearly every dish in the kitchen. I promise you. She really does. It's funny, but it's my reality. So it makes it to where I get frustrated. My Bessie gets frustrated because she's the queen of the kitchen. Once we decided to share this house, she enjoys cooking. I don't enjoy being in a hot kitchen, so I do like to cook. I can cook. I don't appreciate being in a kitchen all day. Let's just say that. So yeah, no. And she just gets into her zone when she's in the kitchen. She's in her happy place. I'm in my happy place just cleaning in general. And that's the reason why I like to do my resets on the weekends, which did not happen this weekend. So we also had, let me also add to what added to my fatigue. We had on Friday a welcome party that we went out to. And that was the beginning of the tiredness, because usually on the weekends, I'm already burning through what I have energy-wise, going back and forth to campus with walking, because I like to walk there. And going back and forth, going up and down stairs through the week. The weekends I use to recover physically. I just rest. I let my body recover. I do as minimal as possible, excluding laundry and resetting my room. That did not happen this weekend because Friday we had a welcome party, which, was what it was. That involved a lot of standing, a little bit of dancing, and a whole lot of sitting for me. eventually. And then we came back from that, and then the very next morning, within hours, because we got home, I want to say around 12, 1 o'clock or so. I want to say 12 o'clock, 12, 12:30, 1 o'clock. No, we got home before midnight. So it was like 11:30-ish, 11:30, 11:50 something, right before midnight. And then we changed, showered, cleaned, and then me and my friend, after we cleaned ourselves up and showered and cleansed or whatever we had to do, we sat and bumped gums downstairs talking and just reflecting on our day and our evening. And then I started feeling it then that I was a little, it's like, my feet hurt, my heels hurt to the bone. It's like bone pain. It was just painful. And I was like, my calves are a little sore and my legs are hurting. Oh, yeah, I need to rest. So I decided, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go to bed. I'm going to, hopefully, everything's going to relax. The massager I had just got that Friday. That's another thing. On Friday, I had gone to Swift Pack here in Kingstown, St. Vincent, to go pick up my stuff. Now, every time I go there, what should take me no more than 30 minutes to an hour to get my stuff, always takes 2 to 3 hours to get my stuff, if not longer. I went there in the morning. I did not leave there until the afternoon. So, long time there. And that was tiring and exhausting for me. So by the time I got home, I was supposed to go to school. I ended up not going to school because my body had already started to shut down then, which was Friday afternoon. So I ended up just resting until that evening. And then we went to the welcome party. And then after the welcome party, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm tapping out. And then, I chatted or did whatever I did. And then I went to bed. And then early the next morning, I got up to go meet for my other event, which was my next event for the weekend. And then that was I thought was going to be half a day, like a few hours, like 3 hours, turned into longer. And so from 7:30 until 12:30, 1 o'clock, I was doing that event. And then, so it's just a culmination of one thing after another after another. I overdid it. So yeah, at the end of the day, guys, I have to find a silver lining. Here's my silver lining in all of that. One, I proved to myself that I can still do some things as long as I get my mind right. And I really do enjoy doing certain things. And I will continue to push a little bit, but not too far anymore. But I feel like I'll be working on getting myself in better shape. I will be still working on building up my stamina so that I can continue to recover from this last bout of GBS. A lot of people don't realize that it's a reset for me. Once I have gotten past whatever autoimmune stuff that I have going on, which, I'm still in recovery phase, even for dengue. I'm post-dengue at this point. I still have to rebuild my lung capacity. I have to rebuild my muscle capacity, and it's the stamina. So I'm going to continue to work on that. And I think I can definitely do it. So that's my positive. My other positive is that it reminds me to be reflective and to trust in God always. That I have to be thankful to the Lord that I am still alive and moving as best that I am. I was told a long time ago that I was going to be in a wheelchair and I'll be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life because they thought I had some type of muscular dystrophy or some new form of MS or something, because they just didn't know. They're like, oh, well, your symptoms are similar to this, but your tests are all negative. And then they're like, well, maybe you have some type of muscular dystrophy. And believe you me, I got tested for 1,000,001. No one realized that what I had was GBS. It was just presenting differently. They did not remember that I had a TBI, a traumatic brain injury, where I had an alternator dropped on the top of my head years prior that left its impact, to say the least. It left its impact. That's a great joke. Anyways, it left its impact. And that impact was is that when I had things later down the line that started happening, it would always present more instead of bilaterally and the same. It would present strictly for my left side more. Like I would have, when my GBS would trigger, my left leg wouldn't move as much. My right would act up and cut up, but it wouldn't be as severe as the left. I remember I had paresthesia of my arm because everything had started ascending up. I was having problems with breathing and stuff, and I ended up in a hospital, and they thought I was having a stroke. So I was young too. I was like, when this all started, I was in my 20s at this point. So it was in my mid to late 20s when I initially started having the symptoms with the GBS, and they thought I was having a heart attack. And I'm like, but I'm athletic, I'm healthy. What the heck do you mean I'm having a heart attack? Excuse the language. So they ended up running a test, and EEG, EKG, whatever, the alphabet soup test, and they made sure that, that's not what it was that was going on. And they just put, paresthesia and dismissed me, sent me home. They couldn't figure out what was causing it for years with my foot drop and stuff, and the fact that my legs would work sometimes and sometimes it wouldn't. I was dismissed, and because they couldn't find tests, and when I would do my nerve studies, they could not always repeat the nerve studies, meaning they couldn't get, whenever they would repeat it, they couldn't get the same symptoms. And the reason why they couldn't get the same symptoms if they were done spaced out well enough and my recovery had already taken place was because I have GPS. And that is a normal thing. So my positive is na boo boo to those people who said I'd never walk again, because I'm walking and I'm a fighter. And is my condition progressive? Yes, to an extent it is. There are periods of recovery, but because I don't have the one-off GBS and mine is recurrent, what happens is it does. I have two diagnoses. So I have Guillain-Barré, Amen, but I also have progressive unspecified neuroaxonal muscular neuropathy, or some foolishness like that. It used to be progressive unspecified neuromuscular Dr. Landau, you're out there. He was the one that gave me that diagnosis, but then it was later changed by another doctor to the progressive unspecified axonal neuropathy. So they kind of feel like I have two things going on at the same time. With the neuropathy, I tend to have elevated CK levels relatively at all times. Ironically, my last batch of labs actually showed that my CK levels for the first time in over 20 years was normal. Normal range, not elevated. And I think that's because I literally did a week of fluids where I was literally attached to this for a week. And so because of that, and me being attached to it, interesting. Because of me being attached to this, I found that I do better. I was able to get my CK levels down, is what I was trying to get at. So once I was able to get my CK levels down, it was within normal range. I had started spasming the week prior, so I was like, oh, I think my CK levels must be getting elevated, so I'm gonna go ahead and do fluids. And I did fluids for the entire week, and I flushed my entire system, and that keeps my kidneys functioning properly and so forth. So I probably will have to do more fluids than I normally would for this infusion, only because of the amount of activity that I did over the past weekend, which means my CK levels are going to be up highly, are going to more than likely be elevated again. So I'll probably have to do additional fluids to keep my system flush, which means drinking lots of water, for now. And when I go to do my infusion, I will be plugging in on Friday. I'll be getting plugged back in to do my infusion this Friday. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. So, let me get off of here because I will chat with you guys all day, clearly, because I like to talk to you all. But let me say this. Let me leave you with this positivity here. You can do anything that you choose to do. Whatever disability we have or that you have, you can function as best you can around that and find ways to still succeed and excel in what you do in spite of. Not everyone can do that. I'm not gonna lie, because I know for MS, ALS, and those type of things, those are degenerative in nature. So because those are degenerative in nature, those type things, yes, you will find that those type of disorders will be, I'm checking my pod, guys, I'm sorry. Those disabilities are, things get worse in the long run. So sometimes finding positivity even in that can be a challenge. And so I say, do your best. My condition, what I was told was it's going to be progressive. It will get to the point, at some point, I've been told that I will be in a wheelchair and I'll be wheeled bound for the rest of my life. That was told to me many, many moons ago when I was still on active duty back in 2013. 12 years later, I'm up and moving on my own because I was determined to not stay in a wheelchair. And that was when my condition was still very much unknown and and not very predictive in nature. What I have to be concerned with GPS is breathing and things like that down the line. But for now, per my daughter, I have to survive until I'm 126. So I'm not allowed to go anywhere until I'm 126. So that's my goal, to live long enough to be 126, to be one of the longest lived women out here on this earth, in spite of my condition. And I want to be able to do so and still be mobile. So I will do what I need to do through yoga, through stretching, through Tai Chi, through walking on a regular, on a daily basis. I will do what I need to do in order to continue to get around. And I will continue to seek that positive lining. And that positive lining is hey, I'm alive and breathing. I may not be as active as I used to be. I may not be as athletic as I'm used to being. But God has gifted me with life and breath. And I'm awake, and I'm alive, and I'm breathing this morning and today. And I'm going to continue to set the example to let these people know here at this school, at the medical school that I'm attending, that in spite of my disability, multiple disabilities, I am still going to be Dr. Harder. That is my goal. And I will accomplish that because I have a strong mind and a strong will to accomplish things in spite of, and to not allow even myself to defeat myself. I don't allow others to defeat me, and I'm not going to allow myself to defeat me either. So you all be blessed. Move out in love. Blessed be. Bye. New camera.